but this is great to be here, so thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to present this interesting journey I'm going to take you on about driving service excellence through behavioral change technology. So I'm Olivier Dombey, Managing Director at Atiom, and let's start with some numbers. Every year, $8.8 trillion is lost in disengaged workforce. That's roughly in the GDP of India and Japan combined. That money is gone. Now, we're not saying companies are not investing in engaging with their workforce, their frontliners. We're not saying that. We're saying that maybe they're not putting the money in the right place, and this is what I'm going to try to develop today. The discussion today is more a business discussion, be architecture or an engineering discussion, not background. And so I'm going to take you to the journey. So there are about 2 billion employees which we qualify as workforce or frontliners. Frontliners are those people who work in contact with the client directly. So you have your housekeepers, you have your van drivers, you have your waitresses. All these people are in contact with the clients several times a day, and these are the ones who deliver the brand promise. And this is what we're going to drill on today. Now, 77% of those 2 billion people experience some very interesting FX profiles. So 56%, according to the Gallup survey the last year, 56% of it feel stress. And I'm not saying stress as in pressure from work, it's actually stress. So stress can lead to physical issues, medical issues, mental issues, social issues, domestic problems of families, societal issues. And you imagine that 77% of these people are not feeling well with themselves. 61% of them are looking for a job. Now take yourself with the hat of a CEO or even an HR department, thinking that the likelihood that 61% of his or her workforce is going to leave within the next year is extremely worrying, not only in terms of the churn of the company, but also in terms of the cost of that to that effect. And then 59% of them are estimated to be.
May I interrupt you 1 minute? I think it's super annoying. I think we are going to switch the microphone if it's okay for you.
Okay.
And then you can use this one.
Okay. All right, I carry on. 51% are quite quieting. Who knows what quitting means? Okay, one person, raise your hand. Okay, all right, for those who don't know, quiet quitting are people who are just doing the strict minimum to keep their jobs. It's not like, oh, tell you, my friend, I'm going tomorrow, I'm not coming back, they won't notice, right? It's not that. These are the people who actually do the strict minimum. They don't do more, they're not particularly motivated, they don't go the extra miles, and that's actually hurting the... So we see about I've identified 4 issues here, but actually I will put a 5th one, which is not on any of the slides. The first one is that service levels are dropping because the workforce, which is, I remind you, in contact with the clients regularly, many times a day, those people who deliver the brand promise, the service excellence that is required for the company to thrive, those services are dropping. So in some industry, we basically specialize in the service industry, so hospitality, facility management, airlines, tourist boards, where you have a very strong force and where the brand is essential to keep and retain your client. Now, if you imagine in the tourism industry, for instance, during COVID, this is an industry that was hit very, very hard. A lot of the workers left, and they never came back after COVID. They never came back because they got hurt. So what happened is that hotels and all those entities need to recruit new, fresh blood, which had very little experience. They had to upskill them, reskill them, new skill them, and the problem with that is that even though you put through the pipeline and you just throw them into the workforce, into your organization, they don't have that experience to actually deliver that service excellence. And that service excellence in a hotel, for instance, leads to better reviews. Better reviews leads to better loyalty. Better loyalty leads to better revenue. And that is just not happening. So this workforce is really scarce to find, but the level is really low in terms of skills, and it takes a couple of years to actually bring up to this level. So whilst the recruiting, the service level is dropping, and that's jeopardizing your entire brand because the service level and excellence is not there. There's pressure on health and safety. Health and safety is a major issue, and we have realized during the course of our work that the messages have to communicate. All right. I'm trying. I'm blinded, I'm sellotaped, and I'm on a second microphone. Yeah, baby. So health and safety, it's very difficult, it's very important, right? It's critical. So we don't want people to get injured at work, obviously. Nonetheless, these are necessarily not very exciting things to learn when you work in a company or implement. And if, again, your workforce is not engaged with you, then the learning process is that much decreased. So therefore, we've seen some issues with health and safety, where companies do seek our help to actually implement this, and I'll show you how we do this successfully. Companies, for the same reason, have some issue to roll out, not plans on ESG, for instance, but to actually get the buy-in from the staff, from the team, from those front workers, those frontliners. It's really hard to get them on board. And you do this through PPTs and programs and like training lessons, and it just doesn't work, and it's obsolete. And we'll show you again how that works in our case. HR departments do face a really, really big challenge, with some of them I've already highlighted. A very high churn in the staff, particularly in the frontliners. I'm not sure if you know some numbers, but when someone leaves, it costs 10 times the salary of that person to recruit another person. First of all, you have the cost of the person that's left, that you recruited. You spend executive time to find that person. You recruited that person, get him or her on board, and they grew with the company up to the point where they leave. That's a cost. And then you double that cost again because you need to find a new person. And you have to reskill, upskill, new skill, and it's very, very expensive. And in terms of onboarding as well, the current processes are obsolete, and it doesn't work, and we have better ways to do this. Atiom at your service. So we build, it's not going to be a sales pitch, but I use this company, the company I work with, to illustrate some of the more innovative ways to actually secure service excellence with a client. So we build habits for a happier, safer, and more productive workforce. And it's all, as Ludo mentioned, it's all gamified. I'll get to this. As of the credit to the company, we work with some of the biggest service industry entities, so Accor, which is one of the largest hotel company in the world, ISG, Westin, Mandarin Oriental, Westwood, GLL, Compass. These are facility management companies. We've been doing this for about 5 years, nearly 6 now. So how do we do this? The secret sauce. So I'm going to share with you some of that secret sauce. I'm not going to tell you everything, though, although you can talk later on. So what we do, we're a mobile app with obviously a management platform at the back end. We build everyday habits that shift the performance of the teams through daily learning or micro-learning, surveys, quizzes, appreciation halls, peer-to-peer recognitions, with a layer, a very strong layer of gamification on top of that to make it stick. And a lot of companies came to us with issues, and I'm going to just list 3 here, or 2 issues actually. One hotel company had a problem. They failed their Forbes audit score, which is produced every year, lists the performance of the company in terms of their own SOPs and success in terms of delivery services. And the company, one of those companies, failed miserably. And they came to us, and the following year, they achieved 95% score. Now the company, which is a facility management company, had a problem in enforcing a safety standard. Again, for the reason I explained, which is their workforce, their frontliners just were not involved, so not necessarily paying attention. And we increased the score by 70%. And out of the 45,000 employees across all our clients that we have on our platform, but nearly 9 out of 10 love our app, right? So there is something we do right, and we can measure it, which is equally important. So how do we do this? We have a full suite of modules and products that allows us to basically gamify and make the learning process interesting. Imagine when you get on board a company and there's new training programs. We believe that those methods are obsolete. They go on. You have training centers, or you have someone who during one day spends the whole day talking from PPTs, and we know for a fact it's been proven that after 24 hours, 90% of that knowledge is gone. 90% of that knowledge is gone. So what do? You get people back again the next week and start again to gain another 10%, and then the third week, the fourth week. It's logistically impossible. So automatically, by default, you are releasing people into your company that are not trained properly. They've already forgotten everything. So the learning curve is just not there. So the learning can be done in a gamified way with many tools available to actually make it easy and make it interesting. So you got a personalized experience, first of all, because when you go in 20 in a training course, well, it's not really personalized. You are the group of 20. You're a number in this. Now, this is personalized to your needs. You have training and social collaboration, so you can share best practice between people. One of our clients, they have 20,000 employees in our database on our platform. And one day they put a question on the forum, and they said, "What is loyalty for you?" Across the region, Asia and Pacific. More than 5,000 answers from people who don't know each other, created that community on loyalty, suddenly bringing everybody together and sharing best practice and what they experience. This is beautiful. It's exactly what the company needed. Well-being and wellness. Now, we see a lot of companies nowadays putting a lot of emphasis on making their employees, happy. And it is necessary. We don't see that necessarily in every single country or every single company, but making people better and feeling better about themselves is crucial. So we have clients who actually have modules, learning modules on how to breathe properly, how to eat healthily, how to do yoga, how to do mindfulness minutes. And all of that contributes to an effect which happens in your brain whereby you become engaged in something that's relevant to you, but then you open up your mind and your willingness to learn about what you're supposed to do as well. Hence, increasing the level of knowledge and hence delivering that service excellence. It's gamified. You can give feedback, recognition. There's also a very interesting in service delivery and service excellence delivery. There's the preactive part of it, which allows anyone in the organization to spot issues and fix them before they actually are facing a customers. And this is something that we're very keen on with our clients. And this helps to build good habits. Again, we're trying to change the habits of those people. And we do that and we manage it. McKinsey had a report recently that says if you invest in quality, quality is difficult to define, right? But if you invest in quality, you will increase the productivity by 20%. 20% is enormous. And in fact, throughout our client, the level of training, face-to-face training that's required is reduced to 2.2 hours per employee, which is a huge cost savings. Employee well-being, I mentioned that earlier on, can increase the productivity by 12%. So now we're already like 20 plus 12, that's 32%. That's a third of increase. That's really huge, just by focusing on those two elements. This is like an enormous gain of productivity. Well check, mindfulness, engagement surveys, all of this are packaged around the learning process. Now, the secret sauce is done between some AI components, algorithms, playbooks, and the know-how of the company. Now, these are all the kind of module and functions that we have on our platform. The idea here is that each clients that we have their own sets of challenges. So there will be ESG, will be well-being, it will be loyalty, will be F&B, will be whatever challenges. Even those bags of challenges, each company will have different objectives as well. So with each client, we work with creating playbooks by using those tools and using those tools in a certain frequency at a certain particular time that actually will deliver the objective and the result that they're after. A huge management portal, very solid in terms of creating that content, which now is driven by AI, so it's like automated. We can obviously track a lot of the performance of those employees, which links back to HR performance reviews, because you can see the people who have actually done a lot of activities, etc. So it's very important. There's a leaderboard. You can see the third screen. So everything is there. You have a leaderboard every month that's reset. Every time you take action or you complete a task on the app, on the platform, you get points. And those points, then obviously you collect the points. You can earn keys. Keys open briefcases. Briefcases gives you a booster, or give you extra points, or give you an extra module that you can study. And all of that parts of the gamification process. You have a winner every month. You have a gold, silver, bronze. You can have teams that actually win and compete with each other. And it's up to the company to actually reward these people, or this team for that matter. So they could give them like, vouchers to Central, or get dinner for two at a particular restaurant or hotel. It really depends on what the company wants to do. But these people get rewarded, and the cycle starts again on the 1st of each month. The case study, very briefly, I mentioned early on that company, the hotel company, for which we increased the Forbes score to by 95%. Now look at how it was done before. Excel-based SOPs, standard operating procedures, classroom training, low service level. This is the old ways. We don't believe in this anymore. There are much, much better ways to engage with your own staff, right? Now we went into a mobile first SOP training. This is exactly what I described to you early on. This example is related to a facility management company, a reduction in LTI, so this lost time to injury. This company, so management company, or even like outsourcing company, like you have recruitment agency that have an outsourcing section to them, and they have thousands of employees that they outsource to a retailer or to any other part of business. So these people are focused on safety to make sure that they understand the regulation and the SOPs of the company they're going to work for. So you have like cleaners, security guards, etc. So all these people are prone to electricians, engineers. All these people are prone to accidents. And for this company, we reduced the lost time injury by 50% by using our app, which is gamified, which is engaging, which is sticky, and people learn better. This case is about, also this group is a very, very large hospitality group, and their focus was on recruiting their guests on their loyalty program. And through our process and through the work that we've done, the content that they gave us, that loyalty enrollment increased by 28%. Now, it's their numbers, it's not even ours, those. So they calculated this, and we've been working with them for 2.5 years. Skip this one. Another one was about, this company was focusing on trying to sell more F&B throughout their whole hotels. Again, Excel, PowerPoint training, cannot track anything. We managed to actually double their revenue in F&B over the period of 6 months, which is huge. Are we doing on time? Okay. So how do we work? And that's part of the process. Again, within 90 days, we deliver results, and we can prove it. We do audits. We start with an audit. That's a benchmark, and we measure the same audit, the same measurement at the regular interval. The key here is that each organization will have multitude of problems, multiple bags that they want to address. It's not possible to address them all in one go. So we pick one, and we agree with one. So it will be F&B, loyalty, could be health and safety, it could be the well-being of the employees, it could be any of those that I mentioned early on, and we focus on this. Once we define this, we then define the metrics we're going to be measuring the success against, and then we start rolling on, communicate it. And then we refine the playbook, which I mentioned to you earlier on, and that playbook becomes essential to the success because it becomes like a loop. I'll pass this. I'm nearly the end. That's my last slide. Maybe I went a little bit too fast, but good for time. Normally, we take about 2 months to launch a client. This is the amount of work that's required. For smaller clients, which might not, like an SMB, for instance, they might not be necessarily interested in the training, because if you like 100 or 200 strong company, you know, it's not difficult to communicate, right, and to train people because it's very tight. However, the platform can be used to augment the cultural aspect of the company, right, and engage even more to make that culture even stronger. So it takes about, say, between 1 month to 2 months to roll out a client. From the kickoff, identifying the issues, what we want to solve, creating the content, testing it, and launching it. And that's me. Thank you very much. These are my contacts on the QR code, if you want to. I'm happy to take some questions now.
Is there any question? We still have a microphone available. Yes, awesome.
Hello. Thanks for the presentation, really.
Thank you.
You mentioned that you are working with gamification, and what we know about gamification is that it have a lot of different elements, and some of them like backfiring. So do you have any cases from your client when introducing gamification into their workforce actually did worse, backfired on something? For example, like, you know, in leaderboards, only top people are getting motivated. So what audience who wants to integrate gamification into their workforce should be aware about, or like, you know, maybe you can share some experience. Okay,
that's a very good question. First of all, in terms of, before going to the gamification specifically, we give, because we don't want these people, you know, they're being trained as workforce to like be addictive. We want the game to stick. We want the app to stick. But we don't want them to be addicted to it to the point that they spend more time on the app rather than doing the job. So we give these people 3 tokens a day, so they can actually do 3 modules a day, and then they can get some point for whatever they do. In terms of leaderboard, we have not had, we've seen a lot of competitive employees that really trying to even trick the system. So we saw some executive that were in China, and then they complete the 3 tokens, so they got their points for the day, but then they traveled to another time zone, and then they started again, so doubling up on the day. So we never seen animosity in the actual process of the leaderboard. None of our clients reported that, and I said we have like some 45,000 workforce on our platform. We never noticed that always the same person wins for each company, because one winner actually generates more interest from the others. So you always have, like in any of those type of situation, you have a part that doesn't really take part, just kind of do it, but it's the minority, and then those who are pick up the game and they just like really want to compete, and this is where we win a lot. So to answer your question, we haven't had any negative feedback from people because of a leaderboard or anything like this. On the contrary, what we've seen is a kick in the need to succeed and be the best. Does that answer your question? You're welcome.
You are Mr. Question. That's good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I know that this talk was more kind of geared on the business side, but this question is kind of a little more technical, I guess, and about Atiom. From like a integration perspective and using Atiom, is there any way to like pick and choose different components that are like provide value for that particular organization and integrate with them rather than being ingrained in that system? Or is it like pretty much like right now where it's like you come in, you're consulting, and then it's like a full integration with the company on your side?
Okay, so first of all, to answer, there's two questions in there. The first one is, can we pick and choose modules? Yes, you can, right? So the platform is modular enough to pick what the client wants to use. That's part of the playbook that I mentioned earlier on. Integration, fine. Integrating into what? Can you maybe clarify a little bit?
So like if you have an existing system and, for example, like your compliance offering, if this is something that would be a really nice integration, is there like an open API spec or something like that where somebody would be able to integrate with what you already have?
Okay, so we do not have an open API because we actually have never had the need. So the platform operates by itself. There are some security issues as well, because we handle sometimes personal data, and at the moment we're not kind of ready to actually expose to through integrations. We do actually do some integration with some training platform that the client is already using, because the content is already being created. There's no need to do it twice. So integration is possible, but we will be doing and looking at it on a case-by-case basis if the business case makes sense. Does that answer your question? Perfect. Sorry, you did this, right? Because I'm blinded. I assumed, right? Oh, good. Thank you. Anyone else?
Hello, and thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
I have a question on how your app is integrated in companies. I mean, if your app is being introduced in a company, then it's probably something very new for everyone. So I imagine that some kind of consulting is part of this ramp-up process that you showed. Do you have like a dedicated team of consultants that then move from company to company and ramp them up, or is consulting something that it happens continuously to re-evaluate how other modules could maybe be used with your client?
No, that's a very good question. Thank you for that. I wouldn't call them consultants. Okay, they're part of the customer success team. These are people who are specialists in delivering results to the clients. So the way we start the process, understanding those needs, that sounds like stupid what I'm saying, but this is really the case. As I said, a client might have an issue in health and safety, whilst the other one has an issue in the well-being of their employees, which are two different things. So we prefer to tackle one at a time and not mix the two together, because that confuses the recipients of the message, which is the workforce. So they don't know what they're focusing on. So we start with one. And then through that process of delivering the first ones, once we actually demonstrate the success, then we actually start stimulating the client to add more content on another bag, right? So we move from employee well-being, and then we move to ESG, which again are two different, but we just like transfer the knowledge, and the whole process becomes easier because you have a workforce which is used to seeing the content and using the app in the gamified way, and they're really engaged, they're really excited, they learn the job very quickly, onboarding is really fast, and that alleviates and fixes a lot of the issue that I mentioned to you earlier on. So there's no consultancy kind of job, there's no team going around to client doing this, but we have a customer success team that actually engage with the client to actually advise them and work with them to deliver those results. Does that answer your question? Perfect. Is there anyone else?
Well, thank you very much.
Good.
Thank you, Olivier. Thank you
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.